Hi Sagittarius, here is a general look at your solar chart for November 2014, and yes, didn't that year go fast? Well, I think so anyway. Now, this month the Sun is in the sign that is currently hosting Saturn, which is Scorpio, and that means all of the signs are going to be getting some energy coming through the other planets, but with a lot of Saturn mixed in. And for you, the current Saturn transit, where there's going to be a bit of action this month, is in a very background area, and that's been going on since October 2012. This is you tying up loose ends to do with the past. This is you doing more inner work, maybe. By the way, excuse the off-stage noises. I'm very, very near a very, very echoey, ancient Spanish street here with very, very ancient buildings, and you know, the sound bounces off, so I'm sure that's not going to mess things up, but yeah, there'll be some noises off stage. So this is the area for you to have been beavering away behind the scenes on certain important things. They can be projects, they could have been projects, they can have been practices, they can have been health related. Very, very strong emphasis on health related things for yourself or for others, and very much also being in a sort of little special bubble or circle of others. That's also highlighted perhaps for many of you over this last kind of 2 years. Well, it's just over 2 years, isn't it? So working, you know, really meeting the challenges in this kind of out of sight, you know, out of sight of others, but within a small nuclear group or a series of, you know, those that are very, they collaborate and cooperate together, and it can have an emphasis on healing, it can have an emphasis on nurture, it can have an emphasis on your own habits and knee-jerk responses, emotional knee-jerk responses, and many of you who are maybe more awake and aware of those shall we say irrelevant or counterproductive behaviors, you could have been working on those over this last just over 2 years as well, so that you can tie up the past, shake off those sort of the dust and the cobwebs from the past and move on, because Saturn is soon coming into your sign. And so this month there is a little bit more than ever emphasis on that particular area of your chart, particularly in the first half, just over the first half of the month. So if you're listening to this in October, actually, that's coming in from the last week, beginning of the last week of October and the beginning of the last week of November. So that is the window of time there. It's 4 weeks, give or take. And because we're getting such an emphasis on Saturn, there will be times when we feel a little bit more than other times. So I will just enumerate here for you when those times may be. First of all, every month the moon goes over Saturn anyway, but because there's a lot of Saturnitis around, I'm going to mention the moon positions. And the moon this month is going to be going over Saturn by opposition on the 7th and 8th, and then by quite a challenging aspect on the 14th, 15th, and then on the 22nd, and then on the 28th. Between the 22nd and the 28th, which is you know, just under a week or just about a week, we have a lot of Mercury in there as well. So Mercury on Saturn, meaning that you thinking more deeply, you being more introspective, you mulling things over and having to be thorough, very thorough and clear as in your thinking. But the thing about it is that sometimes we can't be absolutely clear and certain until Mercury has moved out of there, which actually Mercury will do on the 28th. And then, you know, there's less doubt that there is just this sort of crystal clear clarity that starts coming in from the 28th onwards. Unless, of course, in your natal chart something else is going on, because here we're just talking about your sun sign chart. So as the month kicks off, the solar energies are very much in the area behind the scenes. I call this area the chrysalis, the sort of cocoon. And you'll probably have to be more aware of others' needs as well. The thing about Saturn is often it holds away from us what we really need to reach for in order to almost like make us stretch and make us stronger. So if we have been reaching for healing, if we have been reaching for tying up loose ends from the past, if we've been reaching for getting rid of those old knee-jerk responses or behavior patterns, because it's Saturn and she is the master teacher, she challenges us through adversity. She challenges us through lack of being able to achieve it just quickly. You know, there's always something else that gets in the way, or some other hurdle to get over, or some other delay, or some other spanner in the works. So you may have noticed this, but because we're coming to the end of a huge Saturn cycle, it may just be, with such a lot of Saturn action going on this month, that the other side of Saturn, which is the great builder side of Saturn, the shaping side of Saturn, will come to the fore. It depends on your mood and where you're on your timeline, etc., etc. So the potential for success is great here if one pushes through to the end. It's a little bit like a labor process, really, with Saturn, which is a female energy, a very, very strong, caring female energy, but it's oh so strict, and it's very traditional, and it's very sort of straight as well. You know, there's no tricks, there's no sort of skiving off, there's no playing, as we'd say here, truant, or as you'd say there if you're listening from there, hooky, which is what I used to say when I was a kid. So I think it was that, so yes, so you see what I'm trying to say. There just could be the opportunity that you're beginning to see the end of the tunnel. It's like, okay, now, you know, after all of the blind alleys and beating my head against the brick wall, success is in sight. So this could very well be what's happening, but you won't get the real solid clarity of that coming in, the reality of it coming in, till maybe after this month is over. And of course, when this month is over, then it's the very end of December, 24th of December, 5th of December is when Saturn is entering your sign. So anyway, I digress. This is no time for you to be clinging to ego this month, up until the 22nd anyway, as if you ever would. But, you know, we do it without realizing it, because this energy and the positions of the planets, a lot of the planets this month, is in a place of non-ego. You know, you're going to be disappointed because ego isn't going to work. You've got to come from a real, deep, genuine place in whatever it is you are sincerely hoping to achieve here, to do with the past, to do with the emotions, to do with this maybe particular nuclear special group that you're within. You know, you want to get something from this. You want this to be a success. Now, as the month begins, Mercury is in a very sociable, progressive area. It's actually quite an outgoing, extrovert sort of area, chewing the fat in the company of others, learning from others, sharing what you know with others, being online. This is very much the techie area, the area to do with the internet and all things techie. It's also a very experimental area. It's an area, okay, we'll just suck it and see. We'll just see how this goes. We're just going to do this now. Which could very much feed into what I was saying to you about the healing from the past. And also another thing that I should have mentioned is also the projects. I didn't really emphasize that. The projects that you could have been beavering on in the background and building, because remember, Saturn is the builder. Building something quietly out of sight of others, on the higher levels, inner planes, imagination, raw material for the imagination, art, But also you can be, those of you who are this way inclined, and many Sagittarians are, building on the levels of spirituality, and connecting with the great expanded consciousness, which is really you, the great loving heart, which is really you, the great being of light, which is really you, and then you're funneled down. It is almost like a trumpet or a funnel down into this 3D concrete, kind of dumbed down really, version that can navigate through this particular planet and this particular density and reality. Okay, so that's how I see it anyway, and in fact been shown that many times, but that's the way I can describe it, because these things are quite difficult to describe. So yes, and then Mercury moves, and Mercury between the 9th and the 28th, so that's most of the month, is working from the same levels as the Sun, being right down in there deeply, zoning out a bit, in a private bubble with others maybe, imagination and intuition working very well, good time for healing, spirituality, imaginative activities, listening and trusting that inner guidance, that gut leading you, that sort of in your bones knowing, okay, and working on moving beyond what is now getting in the way of happiness and well-being. But remember the clarity about, okay, I've clinched it, it's, it's we pulled this off, it's result time. I don't think you're really going to be aware of that until after Mercury comes out of there. And sorry, just suddenly thought of something, but I can't see it anywhere. Just a bit of paper. Okay, so, but it's in my head anyway. And then, so that's the 9th to the 28th. And then until the 17th, Venus is in this same area. Now with Venus there, that really does, I think, balance things up and harmonizes things really nicely in that area where Mercury and the Sun are going to be, because that means that you will get some help. Venus is always about support and somebody holding your hand. So depending on which area you're interested in working on or completing, to do with the past, the healing, the imagination, the nurturing, the in the small circle, the cocoon where, it's not ready to be presented to the rest of the world, I'm just going to finish this project, you're likely to get help. There's likely to be some sort of enabler energy around for you, and if you're reaching really high and you're aspiring to the very highest levels of yourself and your higher centers and your higher knowing, etc., but also can be reaching for a aspirational goal on something, then Venus here will make you feel not overlooked, will make you feel helped. But you will keep your feelings to yourself, you'll keep the results to yourself, you will keep the conclusion to yourself maybe, or your feelings towards somebody else you would tend to keep to yourself. You would just not jump in with both feet. But then when Venus comes into your sign from the 17th, well, what's not to like about that? Venus in your sign makes you more outgoing, confident, sure of yourself, gregarious, sociable. People tend to like your style. You're coming across in a much more sort of accessible, friendly way. But then because you're putting out that vibe, you are attracting to you those who are loving, friendly, warm, accessible, great time to apply for things, great time to mix and mingle, great time for negotiations, great time with anything to do with money. You might be feeling a bit self-indulgent though, so be careful about the money situation, but you'll need to work to balance things, and there's more ease and flow in your life with Venus there, and that support, that enabling energy will be more obvious then. It won't be like in that subtle background sort of a way, helper, healer, savior kind of a way, or maybe, higher guidance, angelic kind of a way. From the 17th, it'll be more like, okay, around me, here are helpers, and that might not be humans at all. In either case, it might be things or places, or, it can be just something that you click with and that you feel is helping you and that you value. From the 22nd is a powerful time then, because the sun comes into your sign, and then you take stock. You can be more self-centered, you can be more self-indulgent. You do have the permission slip for that. And at the same time, well, just after then, Mercury is in your sign. So then you're getting a lot of information coming at you, running around more, being in the flow of information exchange, being aware more of travel, transport, schedules, itineraries, or communications equipment like laptops and what I'm using here, and also vehicles, and having to be more aware of those, feeling a bit scattered, spinning a lot of plates in the air. So then we have Venus, Sun, and Mercury all in this next area, which is very extrovert and outgoing, whereas in the first 3 weeks it was in a very, very sort of introverted area. Mars is demanding you put more effort and decisiveness into getting organized and in a material security orientated sense this month. This is a very practical area. It's about basic stuff, basic resources of life, the piggy bank, just what belongs to you. Make sure, however, that you are not run but belongs to you, because is it a case of they are your possessions, or do your possessions possess you? So just watch your step there. However, if something is really of high value to you, and I don't necessarily mean a monetary value, I mean to your heart, that you value a lot, then Mars here can really push you and drive you in the direction to improve things, to get your hands on things, but also to get rid of things, to ditch things, and just you trying to work through what needs to be done in a physical, material, financial sense here. But also, physical, yes, it can be about diet, it can be about dietary things, it can be about, the well-being of the body. Also, for your information, keep a lookout for the second week, because we've got Venus going over Saturn, and we also have in the third week, I should have mentioned, the Sun going over Saturn as well. So 10th to the 14th for Venus, and then the 17th to the 19th. And I give wider margins, really, because the energy will tail off at either end of those, right? So at the beginning, and then it kind of peaks and then goes down, and then, you see what I mean, yeah. So sometime between the 10th and 14th and the 17th and the 19th. And those are days to not schedule anything too, fantastic, or that you've got high hopes about. And if you're in any kind of sort of financial or negotiation about property, possessions, or even in a relationships, you've got to be really businesslike and careful and keep things formal, maybe, or in a negotiation situation or to do with money, you've got to just be just that little bit more careful between the 10th and the 14th. I've mentioned Saturn, and then in conclusion there's Jupiter, of course, your own ruling planet, working in an amazingly, stunningly good angle to your sun sign until all the way through until next August. And during this during this time in your life, your mental territory is due to broaden, and you'll be maturing and growth can come through travel or connecting with those further afield, foreign connections, wider communications, higher education, and just plunging into environments which are very, very different to you, that you really are not useful, getting involved as well more, perhaps some of you in publishing, paperwork, and some of you might need to look into legal issues as well, and putting, maybe for some of you, communications across a wider area. And so this is a very expansive time for you, and this is no time to be backwards in coming forwards. Stretch yourself into new territories, mental and physical, Sagittarius. And those of you born in the last 10 days or with 19 to 23 degrees rising are to feel their energy the most. By the way, Sagittarians, you Sagittarians born in the last 10 days or with 23 to 28 degrees rising are going to feel the energy of Saturn the most this month. And that's it for November. If you know your rising sign and your moon sign, listen to those. And also you can always go to my website and read everything about November there. It's all written up there. And I'll see you the next time.